Good morning, gentlemen. How are we feeling?
Great.
Excellent. So to get us kicked off today on our panel From Models to Agents, the next stage of AI autonomy, I'm going to first invite our panelists to share their names, their roles, and what they are cooking right now. Tom, let's get started with you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Tom.
Trust, safety, and security across AI.
Hello, everybody. My name is George. I lead the strategic partnerships at Zero Gravity. At Zero G, we're building the world's largest AI blockchain, pioneered through our modular decentralized AI operating system with decentralized storage, decentralized compute, decentralized proving of inferences, and the fastest data availability solution in the entire space. Be here and to discuss all the amazing innovations that are occurring within the Zero G ecosystem.
Hello, everyone. This is Jun. So Coney has on my flight issue, so I replace him. I'm the co-founder of GAIB. So what we do is we tokenize AI as a new type of asset class. So we turn the revenue in the AI broad industry, like cloud company, data centers, and robotics company into a yield-bearing asset that people can just hold it and use it in DeFi as a DeFi primitive.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much and appreciate your constant flexibility and iteration to make sure we have plenty of voices contributing to this discussion today. So to get us started, let's reflect on the evolution of AI in the past few years. It's been about a decade since the chatbot wave popped off, and in more recent times, we've seen static, sort of more fixed models iterate into more autonomous workflows, even multi-agent workflows. So I'm curious how our panelists today see the shift from these more static models to autonomous agents reshaping the experience of decentralized applications in crypto. More specifically, what role does the blockchain, or in the case of Lagrange ZK co-processing, play in enabling that more active, more true agentic behavior? What does on-chain mean for more automated workflows?
I think there has been a quick shift in how AI and actually blockchain interact. From a traditional AI perspective, the market is extremely advanced. You see that with Tesla and their autonomous robots and such, and self-driving. But for blockchain, it's still fairly new. But AI has been around for so long, way before AI was kind of like coined and really a strong narrative now. I think it evolved for the blockchain side from simple chatbots and quickly went away because the I would say entry to barrier is really low. And we're seeing some DeFi trading as well. I think that eventually will also go away. There's no way AI can out-trade, maybe outperform a high-frequency trading firm or quant firm. I think that's a little niche, but maybe from wallet interaction to some DeFi management is the key thing. But there's still a layer of trust and I would say a standard how AI can interact with other blockchains. So that's kind of the key thing. But I think what we're going to see in the next few years is just more advanced trading, more advanced maybe wallet management, very simple things, maybe purchasing some maybe commercial things on purchasing airline tickets with your DeFi or your crypto assets, since crypto is kind of a big thing where we can use it and spend it. And that's still a challenge for our market today, making crypto or crypto assets usable. So I think from our perspective, that's where it's at. But from the Laz AI perspective, I think the data is the key foundation that we really need to focus on. Garbage in, garbage out. I still have challenges with some of the response from AI as well, hallucinating. So imagine people are really utilizing AI for their work. And we recently saw a SEC charge against lawyers for civil lawsuits on how they were using AI. So in terms of what we're seeing with AI and how blockchain interact, I think the data and the foundation side is extremely important.
Yeah, and I think when AI really first started developing, we saw it essentially being a series of inputs and outputs, and then it was up to the humans to take those outputs and take the next subsequent steps. What we're really starting to see now is AI in terms of agents be the autonomous actors to take those steps, still working for us on behalf of humans, consumers, companies, institutions, but there is a degree of control that now is placed with these autonomous agents. And on the Web3 side of things, Web3 is grounded in cryptography. And in terms of where that's applied from the Web3 space into the more traditional world, we've seen a lot of innovations, we've seen a lot of spillover. But when it comes to ZK technology has been used extensively in things like scaling block space. But now we're looking for additional use cases and where we can apply that provability. And really then the merger and the synergy of AI and crypto, especially ZK technology, is where we see a tremendous amount of opportunity and growth. And like any new technology, when it comes out, it's exciting, it's powerful, it's new, but then things happen, negative things happen. And that's when we need to rein it in and make sure that it's mitigated, under control, and has guardrails. So it's really that fusion of this exciting AI technology, which is really still in its nascent state, combined with the provability and power of cryptography and specifically ZK technology that we see as having a very bright synergistic future.
Yeah, so in order for AI to be fully on chain, we at Zero G had to reconstruct the entire infrastructure. So we started last year with decentralized storage, and we created the fastest cold storage network in the entire space. We get 2 gigabytes per second in throughput. Second, we needed to have fully on-chain AI verified. And to do that, we needed the fastest data availability solution. And our speeds are 5,000 times faster than the current DA solutions. The third component, which is probably the most challenging, is a decentralized compute network. Our compute network works with our service marketplace for a decentralized and fully verifiable inferencing and fine-tuning and data verification. All three of those components, we bundled it in an operating system, similar to a Mac OS or Windows OS. You just download it, and you can use any or all of those components. And then we unleashed it to the world, and we have over 400 projects utilizing that operating system to do amazing things. I'll give you some examples. We have DeFi autonomous agents that are actually moving liquidity from pool to pool to maximize yield. In addition, it's part of our decentralized exchange called Zia, and what they're able to do is reduce slippage to 0 and create vaults with maximum APY. That's one. We also have dormant AI working on health data. They're able to aggregate all your wearable data from your Whoop, your Apple Watch, all those things, and they're able to give you actionable insights. We have so many different AI agents, including on the storage side, the security side, more DeFi primitives that are being created by Zero G because we started from ground zero, where we re-architected the entire storage, DA, and the compute layer. And so now when you see AI agents within the Zero G L1, you're going to see AI agents that can do things that they could not do on any other chain. And so we just launched mainnet last week. A lot of the applications are going to be coming out soon. So stay tuned. There's going to be a lot of great ways for the community to start participating in these applications early. But the AI agents on chain, there's no better home than Zero G.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if you still remember like 10 years ago when chatbot first came out. Back then it was just predefined static model, but back then I was doing research on autonomous model already. But it was like, back then the hardware was bad and it was very hard to train a better model. So it's really happy to see we actually passed the singularity point and see more autonomous model right now. And how the blockchain can actually push this further is that's also why we do, and also I do GAIB, because as other shares, other panel shares, like we already have like different types of angles to tap into agents, on-chain verification to actually make the AI model better. And as they were just doing their DeFi on top of the agents application and also other applications, but we are actually lacking of something, still something. It's from the infrastructure part. That's cloud company, because right now we are lacking of compute, right? We're lacking for data centers to actually provide more compute for people to come up with new idea to have more autonomous model agents. So, but we are not tapping into the compute business directly, as many others are already doing it. So we tap into from the different angle of finance. So it's very similar to like gold mining in San Francisco. Like selling lemonade is also a good business because actually it attracts more people, like solve the real issue of all of the gold miners. So what we're doing is like we provide the capital for this AI cloud company to expand their business so that they could provide more compute for the inventors, for the developers, for other projects to create more DeFi AI models or even DeFi projects. So we tokenize it to solve the issue core in Web3, which is the sustainable yield. There's no yield on chain. There's only like on-chain TPOs right now. So we actually bring the very lucrative revenue stream from the AI cloud company on chain for people to actually own the revenue stream, but at the same time they could expand their data centers like faster. So we actually makes the whole AI industry and the financial industry more efficient. So I think that's how I see the correct marriage between Web3 and AI.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about the promise of these technologies, about the immediate opportunities that are now available because of all of your team's incredible work. Now let's talk about the hard stuff, right? We live in a society, there are rules, and we are starting to bump up against those. For example, in the United States, 7 AI companies are now under fire from the FTC because they failed to implement age-based access control, letting children access all sorts of content from autonomous or AI, enabled experiences. We also are starting to see impersonation agents that are pretending to be someone else, which of course is a challenge if we are allowing them to access funds. So tell us, what is one of the more challenging roadblocks that you guys think about with your teams, whether that's regulatory or functional, and how are you tackling that together?
I think what we're seeing in the industry, how AI is also following the traditional blockchain evolution as well, from cross-border kind of regulation to personal identification, KYC, KYB. We can't escape that. But if an agent can fully interact cross borders on your behalf on doing transaction, how do you regulate this? So I think this is a big tackle. We're still kind of finding the way with blockchain itself and how we really interact and the regulatory kind of stance. Even for our foundation, where we have assets listed on different exchange, each exchange has different kind of regulatory rules. I think agent is actually, it's still very early, and all this is actually going to evolve, and it will definitely shift the way we as organization and builders direct our product or how we build our product. Who becomes responsible? The agent that launches or the company that create the platform where the agent launched? So I think there's still a lot of risks, but we have to really clarify what the rules are. Once we know the rules, then we can navigate the space a bit. But the only challenging thing is each country has their own view. Like you say, privacy, right? Like in terms of the age side and the parental control, I think that's very, very interesting. And that didn't really cross my mind because we're thinking about the financial side where you have different licenses. And if you're interacting and you're in charge of your agent, do you become responsible for its behavior as well? So those are the key things that I do see as a challenge for industry, as developers and builders, that we have to really keep an eye on and not get too lost, because you don't know if they'll backdate it and make us responsible or who's responsible. So that's the key thing.
When it comes to regulation, trust is a key pillar and a key component of it. And in order for any regulatory body or government or institution to incorporate or endorse AI, like any technology, needs to be trusted. And when we look at the stakeholders involved, we look at, for example, we as a team met with in the United States, the SEC Crypto Task Force just a few weeks ago. And in speaking with them, one of the things that we thought about were the different levels and layers of trust that are needed for adoption of this technology. So as a hypothetical example, let's say that the SEC were to want to implement AI into some of its workflows. For example, maintaining a tracking of transactions and looking for nefarious behavior among securities actors. First layer of trust is that for the SEC or again, any regulatory body to adopt that, they need to have the utmost confidence in the trustworthiness of it to work properly. But then there's that additional layer of trust that in this case, the entire US scope of citizens and companies within their scope of purview would also need to trust that the SEC were actually using it in correct and valid ways. So that takes time, especially with institutions and bodies that are traditionally late adopters of technology such as this. So like any wave of technology adoption, you're going to have your first movers, your middle, and then your late, but it's all based on trust. And that is really, in many cases, what certain AI activities and ways it's being used now don't have enough of. And I think that's really where we as Web3 comes in to solve those problems.
Yeah, so safe AI is a very difficult challenge that a lot of people are facing right now. Zero G actually pioneered several other infrastructure build outs that actually tackle this issue head on. The first thing that we built was what we call AI alignment nodes. Alignment nodes basically help to detect malicious data injection that models or AI agents are tapping into. It flags it and says, hey, this data is not congruent with the rest of the data sets. Can you come and take a look at this? And in order to actually have this system widespread and active, we had to decentralize these AI alignment nodes through a node sale, which was very successful. Last year, we raised around $35 million in that alignment nodes sale, and community was owning this. The second component that we built out is actually a new ERC standard. It's called ERC 7857. It's what we call an intelligent NFT. So what happens when you create an AI agent is that there is no contract address, right? When you create a meme coin, a token, there's a contract address, you know who the creator is. But when you create an agent, especially on chain, it's very hard to tell who the owner is. So Zero G created the ERC 7857 INFT and was able to bundle and prove ownership of these AI agents through this NFT. In addition to that, we can fractionalize the NFT so that users and owners of these agents can actually participate in revenue share. For example, they can also trade these NFTs. We can have agents trade other agent ownership by buying and selling of these NFTs. Those are two components that we released over the past 6 months that solve some of this whole trusting AI agents aspect that a lot of people are facing. The third thing that we came up with is the decentralized compute network with the service marketplace. In this one, you're able to see exactly what model weights and biases were used in the training process. With OpenAI, ChatGPT, when you put a prompt in, you get a result, but you don't know what weights and biases went in to give you that result. With Zero G, because we have this decentralized marketplace to host these models, you can actually see, hey, what data went into this result? What model version am I using? What were the weights? What were the biases in place? This is the first of its kind. No one else is really being able to build this. And even if they were to build this, it would take years and years and a lot of resources. And so we're excited to bring that to market. In addition to that, we're allowing community to participate in the training of these models. So that way, there is no central entity that controls the weights and biases. The community controls the weights and biases in a decentralized way. And again, this is the first of its kind, and we're really excited to launch that in the coming weeks.
Yeah, as a security researcher at Cornell University, specialized cryptography and security, I would like to share how we do it in academia. So we focus more on like security side, and it's being a long existing problem since 7 years ago. Like how to actually secure the AI model, how to make it more trustful. So we actually train using federal learning to train an adversarial model that would be simpler, like a simpler structure that can easily be formally verified, and we will use that model to test a bigger and complex model. And then right now, I think since I'm not really into the federal learning field, but from my security perspective, it's actually improve the efficiency of the model training, accuracy, and trust, because we come up with like objective function of trust that was drafted in another paper, and it could be used to test the general trust of a model. And yeah, and then I probably need to read the latest papers, but it actually improves of the model right now. And as a financial service provider, when we talk to data centers, they also have the internal research team that actually push in this way. So we will like to support them and actually see how we can actually make the agents and all of the verification and trust better. And as also like very happy to see the recent research on in 0G.
Thank you.
At risk of sounding like a broken record, something that I repeat a lot is that accountability requires identity. And so I absolutely love some of the suggestions that you guys have on ways that we can more easily determine who who an agent is accountable to, and what the sort of chain of command and control looks like, especially when we talk about multi-agent workflows and more complex types of executions. So, we've talked a lot about infra. We've talked a lot about like cool deep tech stuff. Let's talk about use cases. I've seen some boo-boos out there in the AI universe. I've seen some cool op-eds about ZK for national defense, but talk to me, guys. How is this technology, from your team's perspective, making its way into the real world? And are there any specific use cases you've seen, whether your team builds or others build with your tech, that you're especially excited about?
I think one thing we're really doing with data is also digitizing and monetizing data. I like how from the 0G side is really assetizing the data, putting in a marketplace. Even from Laz AI, I think the team is also I know the team is also really approaching. So it's great to see alignment, how we digitize the data, how we monetize, because data is value. You see that with Google, you see that with Facebook, but it's the underlying data that has not been monetized by the public or community. It's basically almost value that the community and the industry hasn't really appreciated, but these big companies are already, I would say, extracting value from us. So a way to really take that back and almost like taking control of your assets, your keys, your asset. It's the same thing with data as well. I think data is a valuable asset that many companies are paying for, but yet we're not monetizing it. But with blockchain, we can decentralize it. We can see who is the owner. We can tag it. We can see the evolution of the data. Then we can put it in the marketplace. It's like seeing the evolution of data or fine wine. You see the evolution of the wine and the story behind it. I think the data is also the way we will assetize it, and it will be valuable, and the story it tells. That's why Laz AI really launched a gamification where people can interact with data, but with a front end where people can kind of see a character, its evolution, like almost like a Tamagotchi in a way. So from our perspective, it's how do we make it playable, how do we interact, and how do we make it tradable? It's kind of our direction from the Laz AI's side.
So when it comes to use cases, this technology can be employed in every situation and scenario where AI is used. And AI is and will continue to become so pervasive that it's going to be used for everything. So I like to think a bit with the end in mind. Years from now, I believe that the concept of unverified AI will not exist, or it will be so frowned upon that the opposite will be the default standard. The question becomes, if we can verify that it was done correctly and that things work correctly, why wouldn't we? The only thing really preventing us from doing that now are things like cost, efficiency, and other variables like that. But as we know, again, with any new technology, those come down over time. And they will get to the point where the ability for those to be used is so pervasive that that will become the default standard. And then from there, we're left with the spectrum of use cases that AI is employed in, ranging from the mundane tasks like figuring out what AI can be used for to take 8 ingredients in your kitchen and make dinner that night, all the way to military defense, situations of coordinating drone strikes and where missiles go. And everything in between on that risk spectrum where AI is used can and really ought to be verified. Now, we're very likely going to start on that very serious end of the spectrum, and for good reason. But over the course of time, when it comes to all these various use cases, I like to think that it'll become as simple and pervasive as seatbelts. If we can have seatbelts in cars, we should have seatbelts. And I think an even better analogy here on the very severe end of the spectrum is driving a motorcycle without a helmet on versus being able to then drive in a tank with that certainty of safety that comes along with it.
Yeah, I love that analogy on the seatbelt. So as AI becomes more autonomous, there needs to be safeguards in place. And I already talked about all the different things that Zero-G is doing in that regard. With regards to use cases that we're most excited about, I would say it affects every single industry. We're seeing AI agents being deployed in literally every single industry, and they're using Zero-G tech. In the decentralized science space, I already mentioned, people are using AI agents to aggregate a wide, diverse set of structured and unstructured data with regards to their health data. And they're able to take it and put it into a model, train it, and then actually able to give actionable intel and insights with that data. This is something that the blockchain actually helps because let's say it's a very successful model and pharmaceutical companies or healthcare companies, health insurance companies would want to pay for that data. They can pay for it, and because it's on the chain, you can actually enforce the royalties through the chain down the value tree. And that's something the blockchain actually solves uniquely. We have in the DeFi space, decentralized finance, we have AI agents, as I mentioned, generating yield, reducing slippage, using natural language models to help make trades for you so that you can not have to worry about limit this, stop list, TP, all that stuff. You just type in like natural language and it'll do it for you. It can also auto rebalance Uniswap v3 pools for you. So if you were to do that by yourself, it's a very difficult thing to do. AI agents can work 24/7 and do automatic pool rebalancing for you. We have stuff in even the decentralized compute side where they're actually asking the community, hey, submit photos, submit pictures, submit data, submit PDFs, whatever you can, because the enterprises are looking for large data sets. And if you can submit this, we will generate the models and we will generate the revenue and give you back the revenue share. So this is something that we're pioneering. It's coming out very soon. It's called the Initial Training Offering. You may have heard of ICOs, IDOs, IEOs, all that. We are calling it the ITO Launchpad. And what that's going to allow is community to participate in the training offering by contributing data or by contributing capital. And then enterprises will pay for those models and then they can get an ROI on that investment. So that's coming out soon in a few weeks. It is the first ITO Launchpad platform. We think it's the natural evolution from initial coin offerings and things like that. And we're super excited to pioneer that.
Yeah, there are so many use cases already, and I think the biggest difference is a biggest difference from autonomous model and static model is they can learn by themselves. So from our clients, their use cases are basically improving their daily works. For example, from the technical team, they can actually onboard some agents and train their autonomous model to maintain most of the backend, front end, and DevOps. And for the human beings, they can focus more on the creativity part. They can come up with some new experimental projects. They can come up with some new ideas or new side projects on top of their main products. Actually save a lot of time and effort. And autonomous model and the AI agents is more like careful and diligence on finding the issues different from people. They can just work 24 hours. And so it's very cool. And it's more efficient. And so for our perspective, from our perspective, I think like every field having AI agents, it's a big shift of all of the industry, like healthcare, martech, or fintech. So what we're trying to do is to use the blockchain part, which is the core part is the ownership, right? Ownership of data, ownership of the money flow, ownership of the yield. So how we can take the ownership of these like this efficiency of a new paradigm shift back as you own the yield and the proceeds of the whole industry, by all industry, including all of different yields, different fields, and you take it back, you have it on chain. So in the future, it will probably like everyone will have a UBI since you just provide your data outside, and you still own the ownership, right? And then the AI agents will basically just purchase your data in different fields like MarTech, right? Give you more like certain like ads for you to and the products for purchase. And for the healthcare company and healthcare fields, they will give you like better vitamins for you or specific supplements that you need, right? And you just sit there, you use the perceive that they provide, and then go purchase and have your better life. So I'm really looking forward to the next 10 years in this field.
All right, you heard it here first. GAIB tokens are going to pay your rent, everybody. I would love to continue this conversation all day, but we are being informed that we have a run out of time. So, gentlemen, thank you so much for your insights. This is a great discussion. Guys, if you are interested in learning more about their projects, our panelists are very approachable. Please come chat with them. Thank you guys so much for your attention today, and have a wonderful week at Token 2049. I'm Evin McMullen, and I will see you all on chain.